Alrighty. Welcome to our Fieldworks Q&A. Now, I feel like everybody is going to be just default muted and cameras off, but can you guys just let us know if you can hear us? Maybe. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, great. Sweet. So my name is Allison Neville. I am K through 12 education manager here at UMOCA, and have the lovely part of my role. I get to both help plan, do facilitation, and will be down in Canyonlands with Fieldworks. And then this is Roxanne.
Hi.
Just introduce yourself.
I'm Roxanne Gray. I am working in public programming here at UMOCA, and also a part of the team that's pulling this Fieldworks program together, and we'll be down in Canyonlands with you all.
So we're going to do kind of short PowerPoint presentation, just kind of general information about what's going on, and then we'll have a chance for anybody to ask questions if you have anything specific. We're definitely still, about 2 months out, so planning stages. We don't have maybe every single thing, every detail sorted out right now, but we'll also take notes so we can kind of include that in some of our future communication too. If that feels really relevant to folks. But we will go ahead and share our presentation. All righty. Great. First slide?
Yeah,
slide?
yeah.
Okay.
So the Fieldworks program, this is actually the second year that we have run this program, and it's really exciting for us to be able to try it out again, but also kind of learn and have it like grow and evolve each year. The Fieldworks program, it is a micro residency led by UMOCA, which invites artists to take on a participatory role as they create new work in response to the layered past and present of Utah's iconic Western landscape. So a micro residency, meaning that you will have time to be creating and be in process, but also a little more than that. There's a lot of opportunity for continued learning and community and being out in the field. These are some photos from last year's Fieldworks, which was at Green River. A little bit of a different setup. Every Fieldworks is in a different location, and we do respond to the region, what's available, what resources are available, the artists and knowledge holders that are in that area. But also what kind of area it is. So you might see people eating here at a restaurant together. It won't be like that in Canyonlands this year, but you can kind of get an idea of folks that are creating, coming together, and experiencing the land. Yeah. So this year's Fieldworks is going to take place at the Canyonlands Research Center. The CRC, the Canyonlands Research Center, is a program of the Nature Conservancy that brings together conservation organizations, academic institutions, land managers, and state and federal agencies to apply the best available science and diverse knowledge systems to land management decisions. It was founded in 2010. The program promotes a sustainable future on the Colorado Plateau for people and nature through research, inspiration, and demonstration of evidence-based solutions to solve some of our most pressing ecological, social, and economic issues. So they're doing incredible work down there. We're really excited to partner with them, partially just to be able to connect and witness the work that they're doing. And also because you will be able to directly connect with a lot of the researchers and artists who are currently working with the center. It's just a wonderful hub for everyone to come together. So the Fieldworks program, we're going to give a pretty quick kind of broad rundown of what the program is, what we're able to provide, please kind of take notes. If you have more questions, we'll be able to answer them at the end of this little slideshow. And then again, we are still working on the programming, so we might not have all the answers right now, but we can definitely take them down and we'll get those to you at a later date. But the program, what is provided, the basics are that we will have communal meals together. The Canyonlands Research Center is in a very remote location, so we will be having catered meals, and these will be catered by UMOCA, but you might want to bring additional snacks. There will be workshops with artists and researchers, and for the workshops, there will be supplies provided, and there will be studio time. During that studio time, so this will be actual time set aside each day that you can work on whatever it is that you're interested in working on. It might be something that you have in mind going down. It might be things that you are doing in response to the workshops and the land and what we're learning. But for that studio time, you'll be bringing your own materials and supplies. There are on-site accommodations at the Canyonland Research Center, which again, it is a remote center. It's situated at the gateway to Canyonlands National Park, the largest private inholding in the Bears Ears National Monument and the ancestral homelands of many Indigenous peoples, including the Ute and Dene. Transportation is not provided, so you will need to get down there yourself, but we will definitely have opportunity to set up communications to organize carpools. The accommodations at the research center, there's kind of two options, and these would be something, your accommodation request would be something that if you were selected or you haven't already filled out the form, you'd be able to request that in advance, so we kind of are able to know what folks are needing. The first option are these tent cabins that you can see in the upper photo. They're really cute. I think they're really nice. There's going to be 2 cots in each, so you would be sharing a tent cabin with another attendee. The second option is to set up at the campsites, which are right there with everyone else at the center, and you'd bring your own tent or camper if you're interested in that. There are bathrooms, there are toilets and showers, but you would need to bring things like your own towels, flip-flops, soap, shampoo, all that kind of stuff. And then there's this really, there's a lot of space for you to wander and to create. They have this wonderful center pavilion, which is this lower photo, where we will be gathering for communal meals. Some of our workshops will be happening there. You could use it for studio time, but you can also be spread out all over. And some of our workshops might be out in the field where we'll be traveling to a location. So this is kind of a little overview of what the center has to offer us. The application, if you haven't found it yet, it's on our website. If you go to the Fieldworks the actual page, there is a button to apply. It's a fairly simple application. The eligibility, all are welcome. We would love to hear from everyone. We are, because of this being a special program specifically to meet the needs of this Fieldworks program, we are going to be prioritizing a few things. One of those being that we will prioritize artists that are based in Utah and the Four Corners region, and specifically those from rural regions. If you are applying from Salt Lake or the Salt Lake area or other areas, it's not that you won't qualify. We just might be prioritizing artists from rural regions above that. Artists of all disciplines are welcome, especially those whose creative practices consider relationships to the land and some of these topics that we have been talking about. And then also we will be prioritizing new applicants to the Fieldworks program. So if you did attend last year, fantastic. We'd love to see your application in there again, but we will be prioritizing new applicants. Accessibility requests can be made during the application process, directly on the application, and accommodations can be made. But please reach out to us if you have any questions. Again, this is a very remote area. We are camping / glamping, so Let us know if you have any questions about the space, about the area, about the workshops and what we'll be doing. Again, the applications can be found online and they are going to close on March 31st. So I have an example of an itinerary right here. This is a very broad example itinerary because we're still working out our programming, but this is about what a day will look like. On Thursday, May 28th, everyone will be arriving in the late afternoon, evening. We'll have a specific time window that everyone will be arriving, and everyone must arrive during that time so that we can come together for an orientation and introduction and really kind of come together as a cohort. On Friday, we'll start with a tour of the Canyonlands Research Center. There will be a workshop and there will be studio time. And on the other days, you can see basically there's going to be 2 scheduled items and studio time each day. All the workshops are going to be very different. The studio time will probably be scheduled at different times each day so that you can experience some individual creative practice at the different times of the day. And then on Sunday, we'll have a communal closing and everyone will take off on Monday. Our workshops are going to be varied and they will be very exciting. I did want to share one workshop that we have confirmed with Elpitha. Many of you might know her. She's up here in Salt Lake. She's going to be teaching a natural pigment workshop. So working with natural pigments in an ethical and sustainable manner. And this workshop it'll begin out in the field. So we'll take you out into an area where it's safe and appropriate to be finding pigments, and then we'll come back to the center and have a creative practice. So it's just an example of one of the workshops we'll be having, but the other workshops will be led by artists and scientists who are living and working in the region, who are maybe connected to the research center, but also those who maybe are coming from other parts of the state whose research is connected to the land conservation and indigenous practices. That's basically it. We love to take some questions right now.
Yeah, and feel free if you want to put questions in chat or if you want to go ahead and do a mute, unmute. Let's see a hand. Let's see. So can you apply as a collaborative team?
That sounds like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we would just be accepting individual applications just because of space and the funding that we have to put this on.
Yeah, we are definitely limited by like what the accommodations can kind of handle. So we only have about, I think, 20 spots total that, is appropriate for this particular place.
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with what the facilities can handle and making sure that we're taking care of the land. Let's see, can you talk briefly about the cost to attend? Is the sole cost the studio fee? So yes, the sole cost is the studio fee. We are very grateful and excited to have this program funded by UMOCA. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to keep this accessible. So there is a studio fee. It's on a sliding scale from $25 to $150. You are welcome to offer what you feel you're able to cover. The other costs would be just travel, getting down to to Canyonlands, and then hopefully we're able to set up some carpools so that is more accessible for everybody. And then if you notice on the application, if the studio fee feels like a barrier, we are setting up a scholarship. So you can click whether or not you're interested in the scholarship, but you can also click whether or not you'd like to donate to the scholarship. So if you feel like you could cover the studio fee of another attendee, we would appreciate that, and we'd love to have that donation.
Alrighty, so next question, is there any sort of spin-off on this retreat, group show, following up sharing of works created?
So this is an ongoing conversation. We did have a show last year, if that might be where this question is coming from, or maybe some of you have heard of that, where they had last year's Fieldworks was a little more specific. It was that they were specifically creating three-dimensional sculptures, and they had a showing of them after. This year, we had a lot of feedback that folks were kind of interested in having the freedom to dive into their own practices and their own disciplines and mediums. So we've left it more open in that way. So as of now, there is not a group show in mind, but I think that there can be a lot of conversations around that, and we will definitely have ways of documenting and getting this work that's created out digitally.
The next question, is the studio time like free time in and around the landscape, and who is the ideal artist for this program?
Great questions. The studio time is absolutely free time. So you can work right there in that center pavilion. You could be around the landscape. If you have your vehicle with you, you could go off a little ways if you'd like. It's completely your time to work. It is considered a micro residency. It's sort of like a way for you to make sure that you're dedicating time each day to be working on something. The ideal artists for this program, again, we're hoping to get a range of artists, but the ideal artist is just someone who is interested in connecting with the land, specifically Canyonlands, that they are feeling that being in that being in communion with these people and being in communion with the land is going to impact their practice in a positive way.
Yeah, so even if that's not currently part of your practice, but is an idea that you think would be like something you would like to explore, or sort of an avenue that you kind of wanted to connect with, you know, that doesn't really matter, even if your like current portfolio doesn't show landscape or something really directly connecting. I feel like interpretation is totally fine with that one. Um, and then we will have the tour of the entire area. Will also kind of let us know sort of where we can go, how we can kind of interact with the space as well. If there are any areas that are like off limits to us, or really cool places that we could go that are going to be more kind of secluded and even private than what it feels like to be in Canyonlands itself. So we should have a good kind of orientation on what our options are like while we're in that space.
Let's see, how will parking work for the time we are there? So there is parking there, but again, we are hoping and encouraged that maybe we could set up some carpools so that there are a limited number of vehicles down there, but also that limited number of vehicles traveling.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely try to also carpool for any of like our workshop field trips.
Yeah.
We could be like, oh, like these 3 vehicles are going to be driving to meet, at the workshop kind of area, and we can sort of drive together. So we're not kind of using cars more than necessary to get around.
Yeah. Is there cell service and/or Wi-Fi? This is actually something I don't have the answer to. I would assume that there is no cell service and that there is possibly some Wi-Fi available, but we can get that answer for you. I wouldn't guarantee that it's Wi-Fi that everybody could constantly plug into. It's probably limited. Is the program open to musical artists? Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah, I think anyone who is interested in working creatively.
Yeah. Would definitely have to be open to, some of the presenters are probably going to be focused on doing something based in the visual arts. So as long as that isn't like something you would hate to do because it isn't kind of music oriented.
If you feel like that can support your practice, but also some of the presenters are scientists who are presenting on the geology of the land. So yeah, there will be a big range. Let's see, can you give more examples of workshops? Kind of what we just said, I think right now we have LPFIC confirmed as natural, learning how to work with natural pigments. Some of the workshops will be hands-on, like creating two-dimensional art or three-dimensional art, and some of them will be presentations from a scientist that's working at the research center. Some of them might be kind of a combination of all those things where we go on a hike and they speak about their research out in the field, and then we come back and chat about it. So all things that I feel can support your work in very interesting ways. And is there any ongoing relationship with UMOCA for residents? If I'm understanding this correctly, or maybe I'm not understanding. I think this means that you're interested to know if something beyond the Fieldworks program, if there's a relationship with UMOCA. If that's correct, this is I guess a standalone program, and that there's not like any more guaranteed programming after Fieldworks, but I think as far as like an ongoing relationship, in that you will be down there with UMOCA employees, with folks who are programming and curating here at the museum, hopefully also connecting with other artists local to Utah and continuing that networking. Absolutely, yeah.
I feel like from the last year, the Green River Fieldworks, I feel like lots of people kind of genuinely like made friendships and connections, and especially kind of a lovely blending of like artists that are from Salt Lake, but then also from, our state is very large, so we have lots more voices than just what is happening in Salt Lake itself.
Yeah. Let's see, is Canyonlands Research Center open to us to learn more about while we're down there, or document and explore their work as part of our practice? This is sort of like a yes and answer for me. I absolutely, we've been invited. We are technically like in residence for these days there, and they are excited to have us and share what they're doing there. As far as like how much we can kind of be involved, and I think that would have to do with chatting with them and seeing what it is that you're interested in.
Mhm.
If you were accepted to the program, I would actually encourage you to get on their website and maybe look into seeing which of their resident scientists and artists that are down there you might be interested in connecting with, and we could maybe connect you, and maybe during a studio time have some time to chat with them. So yeah, yes, and we could continue to discuss that. Let's see, can you speak about how this residency will be influenced by UMOCA's current show, Altered States of the Acid West? Yeah, let's see.
So I feel like this last year we kind of developed a lot of the programming based on one of the pieces that was in the exhibition, Something from Everything. It was a Lee Bottigue piece. So that kind of was what spurred us going the sculpture route, going with kind of upcycled, recycled materials. So we did some fun dumpster diving in 105 degrees, something like that. Um, this year, we have it a little bit more loosely where it's just tied to connection with the Western landscape itself rather than like a particular artwork that's guiding, like being strictly two-dimensional or strictly painting or anything like that. So I do feel like it's a little bit more open than it was last year, for sure. So yeah, definitely like Western connecting with the landscape in a genuine way, but not specifically based on one work like it was last year. Alrighty, any other questions?
I'll just say a couple of questions that I know have come through my email lately. And someone can correct me if I was mistaken, if you've already applied, but there's a chance you might not get a confirmation email when you apply, when you
Like
finish your
submit an
application. If that's the case, and you're nervous about it, please feel free to send me an email and I'll check. We are trying a new platform for this particular application, and that was overlooked, or we haven't figured out how to do that yet. So if you are nervous about that, please just send me an email and I can check and make sure that you're on the list. I did get, and we've already said this kind of before, but I did get an email asking about about like location, how, like, do you actually have to live in Utah, or what if I live here, and half. Again, we are welcoming everyone. If you have, especially if you have a deep tie and a deep connection to Utah, and that, and your work is, or you're interested in your work being tied to that. But we will, like I mentioned before, be prioritizing Utah and the Four Corners, and specifically rural areas as well. I think that's all the questions that came through my email.
Okay.
But yeah, any other questions? Let's see, when will acceptance results be available? So applications close on the 31st. We are expecting to send out acceptance within 2 weeks. So you can take a look around, I guess, let's say the 14th.
Yeah. So like 2 weeks into April.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will be like plenty of time to also, make arrangements for the actual days in May. And then we'll kind of have like a further info session for the artists that are accepted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into any questions people have at that point in the process.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks all. If you think of other questions along the way, please feel free to send them my way. My email is listed on the Fieldworks webpage, but we're really excited that you're interested, and already really excited to be sorting through these applications.